Burgundy sauce is super easy. You start with a hot pan, and then I've got about 4 cups of beef broth. I'll put it in there. You can use broth, or you can use your own that you reconstituted from bouillon, which is what I did. Get a little bit of that off of the bottom there, make sure it all gets in the pan. Now if you just get the straight broth, you don't have to do anything to it. You just pour it in. If you're reconstituting bouillon, like in this case, I just went with Knorr, and it tells you on the side how to do it. For this, it's a teaspoon per cup of the bouillon to your water, and it works great. Always make sure to test it, like taste it and see if it's salty enough, and if it's too salty, give it a little bit more water. If it's not quite salty enough, then add a little more bouillon powder. It's good to do the bouillon in warm water though, because the bouillon powder itself is a little hydrophobic. So if you put it into cold water, it just kind of won't, nothing will happen. It'll just stay solid, and it's a lot more of a pain in the butt to get it to break down and incorporate into the water. And then along with your bouillon here, we need, I don't know, probably about half a cup of Burgundy wine itself. This works with any wine too, like it doesn't have to be specifically Burgundy, and usually I just sort of eye how much I'm putting in it, but I'm trying to be helpful with this, and this looks like it's going to be 2/3 of a cup, because that's what I got in here. You can do it with Burgundy for the Burgundy sauce, and if you wanted to do it with, I don't know, like a Chablis or a Pinot Noir or something, you could do that as well. Just use chicken broth instead of beef broth. And you're going to let that come up to temperature, and then you don't really want a rapid boil because you don't want it to get too hot, because the wine can get rather bitter if you overdo it with the heat. But you do want to let it simmer. So we're going to let it come to a simmer. Probably a lot helpful if I put a lid on it. Trap in some of that heat and make this whole process go quicker. And while that's going on, you're going to want actual butter, not margarine. It's got to be butter for the finishing end, because you put it in at the very end after the sauce itself has stopped cooking, and it gives it a nice silky, velvety texture that you can't achieve with margarine. You're also going to want garlic. I'm going to cheat, be lazy, and BS my way through it with some already minced garlic that was pre-bought, because it's quick and easy, and it's just, you know, your basic minced garlic. But you don't want to put that in too soon, or the garlic can kind of scorch and be sour too, and turns everything bitter, and we don't need that. Also, we will need probably about 1/4 cup of a cornstarch slurry to put in this to thicken it once we've let the original wine and bouillon, or I'm sorry, the broth cook down, because you want to cook it for at least 10 minutes or so to let the raw edge of the wine cook off, because if you just heat it up, let it get really hot, turn it off, and then mix in everything without letting it simmer for a few minutes, you're still going to taste that raw alcohol, and you don't want that. You want it to cook down and cook out just a little bit. And oh, a whisk would be handy too. I definitely recommend a whisk. You're going to need that. And if I can find my cornstarch. Cornstarch is an important component of this whole thing, as I mentioned. And I don't know where mine is. It's going to take me a minute to find it, because I am prepared. Oh, there it is. I'll go ahead and get my cornstarch slurry ready to go. The cornstarch you want to put in cold water, because it will clump up in hot water and just be one gelatinous glob. And, well, you're not going to be able to do anything with that. I usually go with about 2-3 tablespoons of cornstarch. Depends on how much initial liquid you're using and how thick you want your final result to be. Just go for making it up a little bit extra, and don't put it in there all at once. Put it in there in little snippets as you stir it. And I'll show you here in a few minutes what I'm talking about. That way you know what I'm talking about. And once this starts kind of simmering, I leave the lid off just so it'll kind of cook down just a little bit and evaporate out just a little bit. I also, to this, generally will add seasoning that amounts to, it's like Montreal seasoning, basically is what it is, but any of the off-brands call it, you know, steak seasoning, like this. I think I got this at Aldi, and it's just steak seasoning. It's essentially the same thing as Montreal, which is, you know, salt, garlic, coarse pepper. You don't have to put it in it, but I like it. Just let that simmer. And the more wine you put in this, that's up to you. The richer it's going to be, the deeper the flavor. I like to have it decently balanced, where it's not overpoweringly stout, because it is a very rich sauce. Here's a good spot to kind of taste it. Make sure and foof it. Yep. Tastes like wine and beef broth. And give it a few minutes to let this raw alcohol taste cook down off of this. And this is a pretty good simmer. I don't want it at a wicked high rolling boil, because I don't want to turn it all bitter. And it's a good way to use up wine that might be a little old and stale. That's not real great for drinking. And you can do this with pretty much any wine too. It doesn't have to be a super high quality wine. It can be whatever cheap wine. They all work for cooking with. And I would personally recommend just using like a regular wine for cooking with, rather than any cooking wines that are specifically for cooking. They just don't have the depth of flavor and are often kind of vinegary to me, but I like just buying this big old jug of Burgundy and cooking with it. Like, I don't really drink it because I don't really like the Burgundy, but the sauce itself is fantastic. It goes great on steaks. It goes great on potatoes, burgers, you name it. But it is really rich. So keep that in mind. It might not be everybody's flavor palette, for sure. Like I said, it takes it a few minutes to cook that raw wine taste down. To this, I'm going to add quite a bit of garlic. I like a lot of garlic. Usually, if a recipe calls for like 3 cloves of garlic, I'll add 10 or 15. So, you know, if that's not something you care for, you don't have to add the garlic at all if you don't want to, or just, you know, a tablespoon is probably sufficient, or even what's in the Montreal seasoning, or if you use that. Fresh garlic works great too. I'm just being lazy. Didn't feel like peeling it and smashing it up, mincing it. So you can do it the easy way if you want. That's what I do. Alright, let me try that again. Still want it to cook down just a little bit. At this point, I might add a little bit more of the bouillon powder itself, because I like it to be kind of salty. If you don't want a whole lot of salt, then definitely skip this part. But here, otherwise, I'm going to go another teaspoon, half a teaspoon, sorry, of the powder. Add it in there, make sure it dissolves up pretty good. It's pretty good about dissolving in the hot liquid, but in a hot pan like that, the powdered bouillon tends to, it'll stick to the bottom and scorch a little bit if you don't stir it. Try that again. Foof it. Ooh. Alexa, stop. And it really is up to you how far down you want this to cook and how much of the raw alcohol flavor you want cooked away. It's still going to have that deep wine flavor to it because, you know, there's wine in it. But I think actually we're getting kind of close here. Taste that one more time. Got some little garlic bits in there. Yeah, I think that's actually pretty good for me. So I've got a little over a quarter cup of a cornstarch slurry. That's water and 2-3 tablespoons of cornstarch. When you go to add that, just go ahead and start stirring and add it a little bit at a time and keep stirring while you do it. Oh, and don't forget to make a mess all over the top of your stovetop here so that you'll have something to clean up once you're done. The cornstarch can sneak up on you, so you gotta be wary of it. Don't trust it. Like right here, you can kind of see that it's starting to develop a little bit of body. We want it to kind of come back up to a simmer to see where that thickness is going to land there, because it thickens as it gets hotter. And if you didn't make enough slurry, it's no big deal. Just make more. Won't hurt it a bit. So like here, you can add it, but you do want to make sure and stir it, otherwise you end up with little cornstarch clumpies. They're just kind of like little snot globules, and nobody wants that. Leave that plate right there. Let's see what that's gonna do. See if we end up needing just a little bit more cornstarch. Because right here it really depends on how thick you want your sauce to be. If you want a real runny sauce, you can leave it at that. If you want something that's definitely a bit thicker, then I would go another tablespoon or 2 of more cornstarch, which is what I'm gonna do here. Added it to a bit of water. And cornstarch, once you initially mix it up, it settles if you let it sit, so don't forget to re-stir it up before you go adding it. Otherwise you'll have water on top and the cornstarch will be kind of stuck in the bottom. And like this for here is fine to let it get just a little bit thick, because I'm going to add butter there at the end, and the butter is going to, you know, add more liquid to it as it melts. So it's fine if it's a little bit thicker than what you want. And into this, I often will add like quartered mushrooms, whether they are white and button mushrooms or like maybe like portobello mushrooms. They go really well in it. You can slice them, you can throw them in whole, you can cut them into quarters, let them cook in here, and they will absorb all of that nice, rich beef and burgundy flavors, and they are so good. And that looks pretty good. I'm gonna add a pretty big, I don't know, that's probably 3 tablespoons of garlic. And I'm going to turn it off because I don't want this to scorch. You certainly don't have to add this much garlic. So as you can see, that's a lot of garlic. I love garlic. And I love pepper. So I'm going to add them both. It doesn't have to be freshly ground pepper. Freshly ground pepper usually has a bolder flavor that I'm a big fan of. And then for this, you wait till the very end and you add cold butter. I'm going to start with, let me see, what am I going to start with here? I say about 3 tablespoons. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Stir that in. See how I feel about it. I'm probably going to add more. But I'm going to let this get in here first. And you can make this ahead of time and let it go in the fridge. And then when you go to reheat it, maybe just add a little bit of water to reconstitute it if you need to. And it heats up fine. It'll be kind of blobulous and coagulated coming out of the fridge. But if you just add a little bit of water to it and stir it, be patient with it. It heats up great. And the flavors just meld that much more and are that much nicer. Okay. I'm going to add another 3 tablespoons of butter. You don't have to add this much. But I am. And it's important that the burner is off and this is not really cooking anymore when you add the butter. Otherwise the butter incorporates into it differently and you get kind of a, it'll still taste great, but you won't have that velvety, silky body that the sauce develops with the cold butter at the end. Like I said, it's really rich and it's great for, if you've got some potato wedges you want to dip into this, or a steak you want to put it on. It can go on a burger. I'd make it a little bit thicker for putting on a burger, but like it goes pretty much with any kind of beef. It's really great with mushrooms. It's really good with broccoli. And that is all there is to the Burgundy sauce. Other than putting it on whatever you're going to put it on and eating it. See ya.